Hey everyone, just wanted to wish everybody a happy new year. So I didn't really get around to posting last week, and the reason for that is because with all the holidays and family engagements, I didn't really get around to working on any projects, so I didn't really have any major updates. Really, the only big thing with the intake manifold since the last video that I posted about it is that ultimately the Loctite that I used didn't really make much of a difference, probably because the poor, fitment between the thread meant that air was getting in there and it couldn't really cure. So ultimately what I did is I got some plastic weld epoxy and I just mixed that stuff up, got some of that on the threads, and I put the fitting in there. I also beforehand actually drilled like 3 little divot holes around the perimeter of the hole, the threaded hole, and basically, once I added the epoxy all around the threads and I threaded the fitting in, I spread the epoxy so that it would fall into those divot holes, which just gives it really an extra place to hold, right? Besides the fact that I'd already sanded that area, so it has plenty of, areas to hold. Obviously, that's to improve the mechanical hold of the epoxy on the intake manifold. I don't know what that epoxy is made out of, so I'm unsure as to whether it'll create any melting that will lead to a chemical hold on the surface, but ultimately it's on there rock solid and it's not going anywhere. Now, with regard to other projects that I'm doing, I'm currently just waiting for a rotofab intake in order to get my cartoon. Now, I found several of these things for sale. Different people are trying to sell them different prices. I'm negotiating with a couple sellers and trying to get it for the best price possible because obviously I have many projects and I don't want to spend a fortune on this. I mean, it's a fantastic intake. I definitely think it's worth the money if you want to spend it. However, there is a part of me that's like, man, like that intake alone is more money than this intake manifold and throttle body, and ultimately it's a tube with a filter and a fancy box around it. I know it works. I know there's been tests around it, and honestly I just think it looks great. I would definitely pay the money if I had less projects and things to do, and probably if I were without child and therefore able to blow money on crazy stuff as I did in the past. But I'm trying to be a little smarter in the way that I use my finances nowadays, so that's why I haven't gotten all that together yet. But as soon as I have that, I'll be talking to my tuner of choice and I'll be getting you guys an update video on exactly what's going to go on with that. Now, looking around my garage, you may notice that there's some painting gear and there's quite a mess right now. Basically, I used to have, if you watched my garage remodel series, I had an 80 to 85 gallon water heater in here. It actually sunk the concrete because it was so heavy. And I took that thing out at some point with my dad and I mounted a tankless water heater. So I'm very familiar with electrical because my dad is an electrical contractor and an electrical engineer. So we actually got together, ran wiring from my breaker box to it because you have to run an extra circuit because it runs off 2 breakers. We did all of that, but in order to get the wire across, we did have to break the wall in my garage, my nice black accent wall. So what I've done since was I'd repaired the drywall, but I hadn't gotten around to painting it. I've been working on hopefully getting that done. So there you see all these white spots on my wall. I've gone ahead and primed over the plaster there. Now all I've got to do is go ahead and hit it with the black, and hopefully that'll all blend in properly. I'd lost the color chip for the particular charcoal finish paint that I used, so realistically I just had to have it match. So I cut a little piece out of the wall and took it to Lowe's and had to match it up. This is where I bought the original color. Hopefully it matches as well in here as it did in the store, right? So I'm gonna start painting that, and then hopefully my garage can be nice again. You can see my water heater there on the wall. Pretty nice little unit, makes a ton of hot water. I'm never without hot water here at the house. Like, turn it on, you got hot water pretty instantly. As a matter of fact, I had to dial it back because from, first time I ran it on the factory setting, you could boil a lobster in that water, literally. So you could boil yourself alive while you're in there. So it's pretty effective unit, and I mean, you could be running more than 1 shower at a time and everything's good. Dishwasher also, right? You don't run out of hot water. It's plenty of power for my house, and I mean, It's only 2 people and a baby for now, and 3 dogs, and they don't use hot water. Anywho, I'll be working on getting that painted and fixed up. And by the way, I noticed looking at the camera screen that like you see a lot of like crazy discoloration or defects. I'm not sure if it'll show up that way on the computer screen, but in person you don't really see that. The wall looks mostly even. So just a heads up, it's probably not as crazy looking as it is in this image. So I'll be going around painting all of this stuff and trying to make it look presentable. That way my garage can get to where I want it to be. I may also add some storage on that wall. And as I've said in the past, ultimately, my goal is to get these washing machines out of my garage so that I can take over that space, make a nice work table, probably get an oven in here so I can start powder coating and baking paints, and I'll take advantage of the water spigots there and add a sink so I can wash my hands, you know, when I'm all greasy from doing mechanics, so I don't have to touch the door, you know, with dirty hands and go wash my hands in the kitchen and get the kitchen sink all grimy. So that's definitely going to come, and I'll of course do video for that so you guys can check out the process. I mean, there's a lot of junk that's got to just leave from this garage, but I have to complete other projects in order to make it possible. So in order to get these machines where I want them, my dogs spend most of their day hanging out on the back porch. I cannot have these machines out there with them or they will destroy them. So basically I got to finish building a dog kennel that I started building a while back so I can get the dogs back out there. They can hang out there during the day. I'll get my porch back, make it nice. I'll also build a shed, right? And in that shed, I'll be putting a lot of the stuff that's currently in the garage, and that's going to create space in the garage so I can have my Camaro and my Miata sitting in here simultaneously as they were originally for a long time, but unfortunately have not been because I just have so much stuff right now. Look at that corner. I mean, don't mind the compressor that's usually up against the wall that I'm currently painting, but I have my horizontal bandsaw there. I have a couple bins of things, some spare valve covers. I have my pressure washer, have my K24 Z3 behind the compressor. K24 is going to go up on an engine stand. Definitely once I have the washing machines out of here, if I'm not done with the K-swap project, it can roll under the table that's going to replace the washing machines and it'll be out of the way. My bandsaw is probably going to go against the wall once I have order in here, and yeah, just basically a lot of stuff is going to get removed from here so I can put the Miata over on that side and the Camaro over here on this other side. But basically it all starts from the shed and the dog kennel, getting all the junk out of here that will allow me to put 2 cars in my 2-car garage again, which was always the intention, right? I'd like to be able to store 2 cars in here and only have a couple cars outside. That's going to come along in due time, so definitely I'll make sure to make videos for all that so you guys can check it out. Besides that, obviously there'll be the video with all the Camaro upgrades. I've got some stuff coming for the truck too. I really want to redo the headliner on that, and I have the earlier style Tacoma headliner that uses like the old muscle cars. You have like wires hanging above and there's like a cloth that suspends between those wires. If you've never seen it, you won't get it, but for those guys who know the old muscle cars, you're probably like nodding your head in agreement right now, like, yeah, that's definitely a pain to deal with if you don't know how to deal with it. It's not like the later headliners where you have like a cardboard above and it's just wrapped in some kind of cloth. So I'm going to be redoing that, and the seatbelts in my truck are kind of sketch, so I'm going to buy brand new ones from Toyota. But I'm thinking, why just put stock color seatbelts in there when I could send those seatbelts out to be redone with different color belts? So I'm probably going to get those done in blue, but we'll see how I feel at the time that I do it. I'm thinking of a black and blue interior theme, so everything like black with blue stitching. So I might get that done soon, and again, definitely I'll always do videos so you guys see that process and see, you know, what mistakes you should avoid and how to do certain things. But that's going to get going. For now, I'm going to focus on this paint job, so let's get that going really quickly. Alright, so here is where I cut out a sample swatch that obviously has some decently thick paint on it. I've gone ahead and put some mesh tape for the plaster to grab onto. I'm going to go ahead and use a pre-mixed plaster just to seal that up really quickly. Another coat, such is life. That dries, I'll give it another coat and then I'll paint it over. Alright, so I'm done with the first coat of that. The paint itself is a pretty good match color-wise. It does say, or rather the guy did tell me that the paint that I chose needs to be done in 2 coats. So I'll let this stuff dry and I'll come back in tomorrow with another coat. Now, again, keep in mind the wall looks way spottier on the camera than it does in real life. In real life, it just all looks fairly even. There is a couple areas that you'll notice on the camera that look like blotches. That's areas where stuff is still wet. Overall, however, once all that stuff is dry, it's all gonna look pretty even, and especially to the human eye. The camera definitely catches the contrast a lot better, especially because of the reflection of the light off the surface, whereas your eye probably won't do so good a job of picking those imperfections up. So overall, I'm not too picky with this. I'm pretty happy with the way it came out, and I mean, ultimately there will be shelving and a few paintings and canvases and random things hanging there, so if it is less than perfect, you'll never get to see it anyhow. And overall, it's pretty good. Like, to the human eye, it looks fairly even. I can't see as much of the blotches as the camera will pick up. It's crazy how it looks on the screen. Like, it looks so blotchy, it's not even funny. But I'm pretty happy with that. I've got to touch up the white on the left side. I got some paint splatter outside of that, and then I laid out some tape to make sure I didn't do any crazy damage to the edge. I also have the plaster on one side that's got to dry. It's got to get primered and then base coat, but that's all gonna look pretty good. I just called it base coat. I just mean color. So used to car painting stuff. Definitely tomorrow though, when I touch up those areas, I'm coming in with a roller just so I guarantee that the texture will be the same and I won't have like a swept, like brush style texture. That will also make it a lot harder for your eye to notice any differences, because right now I do see some of the areas over, specifically over the breaker box, and that's mainly because it was done with a brush and not with a roller, unlike the rest of the wall that had some love with a roller. So I'm definitely going to be doing that so it evens out better. So at this point I've already done 2 coats of paint on the wall in the spots that were white before, and it's blending in pretty good. Again, camera will probably make it look like it's not, so you'll see the fresher paint in some sections better. However, to the eye, it looks pretty good. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and add a 3rd coat, and what I'm going to do is I'm gonna use the roller again. I used the roller for the second coat. I'm gonna use it again, and I'm gonna let it kind of tack up a little bit and then hit it with the roller, because what I want to do is to give it the same texture as the rest of the wall, and you're only gonna get that from a roller. Unfortunately, those areas are still kind of like smooth looking, so I want to make sure that I get them nice and textured so that it all matches out evenly. Then I'm probably gonna hang my Camaro poster, or canvas rather, up there somewhere. I just gotta choose a point at which I'm gonna do that. I'll allow that to tack up for a couple of minutes, and then I'll come back and roll on it again, and that'll hopefully give it the texture that I want. All right, that's had time to dry up, so let me go ahead and try seeing if I can get it to texture up a little bit. I'll likely give that a few more minutes and then come back and give it another roll just to get it really nice, and that'll be that. Alright, so that's pretty much done. I'm probably going to give it another coat of black tomorrow just to give it even more texture, but overall I'm happy with the appearance of that. As you can see, there is quite a bit of junk accumulated in this garage that I'm going to be getting rid of joyfully within the next couple of weeks. Just going to be working away at that dog kennel and my shed in the backyard so that I can get rid of all the stuff that's in here and make this back into a two-car garage / shop. I'm really excited to get that going, so keep a lookout for those videos. That's definitely going to come. And as I mentioned, the Camaro intake manifold and all that's going to happen. I actually won an auction on eBay for a rotofab intake, so I'm waiting for that to arrive. Once that's here, I'll have basically the last piece of the puzzle of what I'm doing with the Camaro. So then I'll go ahead and talk to the tuner and figure out what they're going to want me to bring for the day of, and I'll definitely do the video of baseline plus tune afterward. And hopefully that's going to be a big horsepower gain, or at least a decent horsepower gain, and pretty, you know, educational for all of us to watch and see how we can make some power without necessarily breaking the bank. So keep an eye out for that. As for the rest of this garage, it's definitely going to get cleaned out, and it's going to go back to being a nice showroom where I can stash my cars and, you know, pull them out and do work on the weekends. But for now, unfortunately, it's slightly relegated to being a junk storage, but that's the life. You accumulate a lot of things and then you get rid of things. Hopefully I will not reaccumulate anything once all of this stuff is sorted. I would like this space to kind of become a shop. I want to get an oven to put under there where I'm gonna put the table where the washing machines currently are, in order to turn that into my powder coating and paint making area. So I'm hoping to get that going. Definitely going to take advantage, right, of the power outlet that's there for the dryer. The outlet that's there for the dryer will allow me to connect the oven, and also if I want to get later on a bigger batter welding machine, I'll be able to set that up. Probably wrap the table that's going to go there in like a sheet of stainless steel just so I can weld on it. I'll definitely install a vise on there. I have 2 different vices that I need to install, and that way I'll be able to clamp stuff to the table whenever I want to. I also have a very big drill press at my parents' house that I'm going to bring over here once I have the space cleared out. So this is going to be a much more functional shop. I'm definitely looking forward to getting that aspect of my garage rebuild done, because this thing is, you know, it's a constantly evolving project. It started off with a grungy dark garage. You guys saw the whole series where I added lighting in here. I painted the walls and floors. You know, it kind of got this nice. I did the bike racks on the side. I hung up that painting. Now I just need to do some clearing out of excess junk and making this into the shop space that I dream of having. So that's definitely coming. Keep a lookout for that. It's definitely going to be videos on that in the next up and coming weeks. If you guys like that kind of thing, feel free to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I post up another one. If you have any feedback, feel free to leave that in the comment section. And as always, thank you guys for watching.